we tested various areas of our fields, the perennial fields, the dahlia fields, and the rose garden. And there was some consistent results across all three. In particular, the deficiencies that were noted was a significant acidic level in the soil. So our pH was between 5.5 and 5.8, which is too acidic for growing cut flowers. We ideally would like to have that in the 6 to 6.5 range. So we will be addressing to improve our soil pH levels. And additionally, what was noted was a significant deficiency in potassium. Also, some deficiencies in some micronutrients, some trace nutrients of manganese and boron. But while addressing the potassium, we can improve the levels of manganese and boron. They are probably in the soil already, but not being made available due to the lack of potassium. So once we improve potassium, then those trace minerals will be made available to the plants. And we can conduct another soil test to confirm all of that. Additionally, we will be amending the soil with some fertilizer. I don't normally amend with any other types of fertilizers, or the certainly not the synthetic ones, but not those that just come with an NPK. I want to know specifically where my soil is deficient and add amendments accordingly. And in terms of fertilizing for growth or for bigger and better blooms, the two that I use are molasses and nitrogen. And those are the only two that we're going to be adding to the soil. Back in the fall, we did amend our soil with compost and a little bit of cover cropping. Both are regenerative practices. But today we're going to amend with Solucal. This is a mix of lime and calcium. Now, lime increases the soil pH, and this particular product with the calcium breaks down quickly, and so it's going to have a faster impact at changing the pH value. Now, we're not going to go from 5.5 to 6.5 in one season, but this will help get us there in a couple of seasons. So primarily, the ingredients of this is lime, calcium, and magnesium. There's trace amounts of other amendments, but those are the ones that are in any significant percentage in this bag. Next, we're also going to add elemental potassium. This is just straight potash, soluble potash, and it's got a little bit of sulfur in it as well. And so this is going to help improve our potassium levels. Next, we're going to mix in some feather meal. Now, this is hydrolyzed poultry feathers, also known as feather meal, and it's a great source of protein for feeds for animals, chickens, and all sorts of poultry, but also it ground up like this, added to the soil as feather meal, it provides an excellent source of low release nitrogen. And then lastly, we're going to add molasses. Now this I add every season to every bed. Molasses in this dried format provides the soil microbes with the carbohydrates that they need, the sugars that they need to do their job, which is to break down the macro and micronutrients and make them available to the plants. So we're going to make a mixture of these four and sprinkle them onto our garden beds, and we'll show you how we do that. So we're going to create a mixture of all four of these, the SoCal, which is the lime calcium, the potassium, the molasses, and the feather meal. We're going to take a 5-gallon bucket and do an equal parts mixture. Now, there are recommended measurements that are provided by the soil test report of the company that provides you with the reporting. There's also information on each of these bags that provides recommendations, but they're all based on pounds or some kind of measurement for every 1,000 square feet of garden space. Now, here at the farm, we're dealing with, way over 10 to 20,000 square feet. So we're definitely going to be using all of this material, but we're going to try to mix it equally in 4 parts. So we're going to take and some of this is kind of heavy to use, so I'm going to try to fill up to this line here on the scooper. So we're going to have a scoop of that. A scoop of the potassium. A scoop of the molasses. And a scoop of the feather meal. And I'm going to just mix that up. For smaller gardens, you can just use cups or pounds, like half a pound or something like that, based on the square footage of your garden. But since we have a lot of square footage to cover, we're gonna just use this 5-gallon bucket. We're probably gonna need at least, 3 or 4 of these to do the entire, all the fields and all the beds in the fields. So I mix this up, and then I'm gonna go again, another scoop of the Solucal, another scoop of the potassium, molasses, and feather meal. And mix. We tested various areas of our fields, the perennial fields, the dahlia fields, and the rose garden. And so we're just going to sprinkle this over the beds, all the beds, and then we're going to work it into the soil with a broad fork. I did want to point out that we still do have some pea shoots here from our cover crop. And we had done a cover crop late in the fall and a little too late to get some really good growth. And some of those peas or seeds had been covered with snow soon thereafter. So once the snow melted, you could see that some of them have germinated, which is okay, because once we're broad forking and turning these amendments into the soil, we'll also be terminating this cover crop, what little there is, and turning that into the soil as well. So we're just going to sprinkle it on. Ideally, you want to do this on a non-windy day. We tested various areas of our fields, the perennial fields, the dahlia fields, and the rose garden. And there was some consistent results across. So as you can see, we've lightly dusted the beds with the amendment mixture. We made sure not to leave kind of lumps of the mixture. We just evenly dusted throughout the entire bed. This is a 100-foot bed, and we've gone through about a half of this 5-gallon bucket. Now, it wasn't filled to the very top, but based on the usage here, we're going to get about 2 100-foot rows from each of our 5-gallon mixtures. And so we'll probably end up using maybe, 8 to 10 more 5-gallon buckets if the bags that we have last all of that. We might need to purchase some more. And we're going to keep doing this to each and every bed. Now we're going to work this in. We're going to do this first application at the beginning of the season now, and then in the fall we're going to come back and do another application of the lime and the potassium. Of course, we're going to do a soil test first and make sure that another application is needed, but in all likelihood it is, so that we can get the pH level back up to where we need it, as well as the potassium levels. At that time, if the trace minerals that we noted of boron and manganese are still quite deficient, we might add some of those as well and let that sit and cook over the winter. Okay, so let's get to work. So now we're going to work these amendments into the soil, while at the same time turning in some of this cover crop. If this cover crop was thicker, we would terminate it differently. We would kind of squash it down first and then use the broad fork to till it in. This is not necessarily major tillage. This is really just lifting the soil up a little bit. So we're going to dig the broad fork in and we're going to rock it back and forth a little, lifting the soil. We tested So we've just finished broad forking this 100-foot bed. It was a bit of work, especially because there were lots of rocks in the beds, and so it made digging these tines in deep a little harder than usual. But broad forking is the best way to work these amendments into the soil with minimal disruption of the soil structure. We want to maintain the soil structure for the benefit of water and air flowing through, and not creating any compaction. So on to the rest of the beds.